Hi everybody. Next bit of Witter Quilt 11. I know there's several of you out there waiting for them. So we'll get on and get done, and then we've got just one piece to go afterwards. Right, so it was putting of the blocks together. Now, one of Abby's design developments again. The original plan for this quilt has gone straight out the window, I'm afraid. That was at last video, because at last video I think I did say that the blocks were all there, they're all looking good, but actually none of them are going to go together very well because of the fabric choice. Now that's my fault. I love all the fabrics, and when we put them together it's like, oh, actually is that going to work or not? I'm not sure. So I had to make sure it worked. So hence the white framing of each block, yeah, that we did last time. We framed it, made them all look a little bit more similar, cohesive, whatever you want to call it, but they were more uniform. Yeah, that might be the word. Okay, so now it's how do we put it together? Well, actually I was going to do all sorts of messing about and added bits and this, that and the other thing, and I thought, you know, it really doesn't need it. We've got an awful lot going on in this quilt. So do you know what, we're going to go to sashings and cornerstones, right? So sashings, your long strips, cornerstones, your little squares that I'm sat playing with. Okay, but how can we make this a bit different? So because my blocks are now going to be 13-inch finish instead of 12-inch finish, I've got an extra inch in my sashing, don't forget that. Okay, so I've made up sashings that have a little white square in the center. Okay, now actually, because my cornerstones are going to be white as well, that is going to give you a nice long strip of, yeah, green, white, green, white, green, white for me, but it's toned it and it's brought it all together. I don't know if you agree or not, but it's behind me. So what we're going to do today, or as and when, are the sashings. So you need 24 sashings. That mine look like this. You could just do straight ones, you could do all sorts of inserts, you could do whatever you would like for yours. But what I've done is I've got 24 of these, and I've cut 6.5 inches for the long bits for the green, and 1.5 inch square in the center. So these are 6.5 by 1.5, so that we're going to get a 1 inch sashing that goes down the center of your framework. Does that make sense? So cut lots of them and then we put it together. All right, so how I've done it, 24 is enough to do the, I feel like a weather girl. I can see up there what I'm looking at. I feel just like a little weather girl here. Sorry, sun's shining, it's quite nice, honestly. So there's enough sashings for the center of your quilt, but nothing to go around the outside edge yet. Okay, I've got another plan on that one, and I'll explain that in a minute. So we're putting together standard format. So we've got a, can I do it? A block, and then a sashing, and then a block, and a sashing, and a block, and a sashing, and a block. That's good, isn't it? So by having things cut to size and pre-done, you're going to keep yourself accurate. And then I've done a complete run of these, so that becomes another strip. So big strip, thin strip, add the thin strip to the bottom of the big strip, another big strip, thin bit, and keep adding them. Build them always in a straight line, yeah. Try never ever to have to stitch around a corner, because it just, yeah, it makes life awkward, you know. Keep everything straight line. And if you can do strips in the shortest, say that was 5 deep by 4, I would still put it together 4, 4, 4, 4. There's less chance for inaccuracies. When you start getting to 5, always go to your thinnest and straight. Okay, probably said that hundreds of times before, but there we go. So 24 of them. Cutting at these, you need 48 of the green, and they're 6.5 inches by 1.5 inches. The center here is 1.5 by 1.5, and then you need cornerstones. All right, so lots of cornerstones, 1.5 by 1.5. Okay, so you need 24 of them because they're going to go in the center, and then you need 9 of them, which will join them right in the center of the quilt like a normal cornerstone. Now I have to say, I love a cornerstone. I might be strange, but we know that cornerstones keep you accurate. You know my lovely word in class, ladies, accuracy. The more accurate you are to start and to work throughout the whole of your quilt, the more accurate and square your quilt will look. Yeah, so always think accuracy, be it drawing, cutting, stitching, any of it. So we're assembling now, and how do we keep that accurate? Cornerstones. Yeah, so these give you something to line your blocks up with. Yeah, so always cut your cornerstones to the right length, and then you know it's got to fit. Fabric obviously has a little bit of give and tear, and I call it fabric manipulation, when actually my block is a little bit too short or shorter than my sashing. Well, do you know, if you pin that end and then just ease it, that'll fit. If your block's a fraction longer, you still pin that to that and then you ease the sashing. Yeah, things will juggle a bit and then settle, but your cutting must be right. Okay, so I love cornerstone. And a little story, the last show that I was judging at, Sandown, yeah, trundling around, and you get to score on all sorts of different criteria, one of which will include how things are put together and technique and that sort of stuff. And there was this fabulous quilt, and I'm like, oh, I really did quite like this, and it's been executed so nicely. But do you know what let it down? It's sashing. Okay, so long pieces had been put, just one great long piece, and I get that, because actually you want just one colour, lovely, but they hadn't lined up. Can you see where I am here, where the blocks are here? Yeah, so you've got these lovely row blocks with their sashing and a long strip, and then another row of blocks with their sashing, and they just didn't quite fit. They hadn't lined them up, and it let the quilt down, which was such a shame, because it really was a lovely quilt and an awful lot of work. That's from a judging point of view. I don't say it wasn't lovely, because it was lovely, but your cornerstones will stop that happening, because you're making things fit to your cornerstone and keeping it accurate. All right, so lecture over on that one for the day. So that's as far as I've got Witter Quilt 11. So it's all sort of together. Now, Abby then had a bright idea, and she thought, oh, do you know what? We'll go back to the original plan that I had, which was to put all the way around it chevrons. Okay, so like arrowheads, yeah, lots of them, different colours. And then I thought, oh, maybe that's too much. I'm going to try something else. So I'm busy putting this together. I don't know if you can see that. And I thought, oh, that's quite nice. But actually that's no good, because it actually makes that look horrendous. So we're not doing that. At the minute, I don't quite know what I'm going to do to it, but I will think of something. I've got a nice load of fabric here that I can cut up and mess up, and we'll see what happens. And what I do actually with all of these bits and pieces, I make improv blocks and pieces, and I just shove them all together and just make a piece of fabric in effect, and then generally I'll pass it over to project liners, and they can perhaps do something with them. So that's another one of my design developments that didn't develop. So as I say, we just forget that one. So there we are. So Witter Quilt 11, that's your next sort of bit. What else has been going on? Let me see. We've had Festival of Quilts in the middle, which was great fun. Saw loads of you. Thank you for coming past and saying hello and introducing yourself and such like. Brilliant, lovely to see so many people out at the Festival of Quilts. So that's two really good shows this year so far, Malvern and as I say, Festival, very good. I should be at Harrogate, but I'm not going to be there, unfortunately. I've got other stuff going on. And then I should have been in Belfast at the Belfast show, and this year teaching, half-day teaching sessions for everybody. But unfortunately, I'm not going to make that one either, because of Paul and stuff, husband that is, being fixed and whatever. So I need to be around at home. So hopefully next year I'll see you at both. Certainly, hopefully to be over to Belfast to teach. Can't wait for that. I'm really quite gutted about that. I was expecting good fun. So it's just going to have to delay till next year. It'll all be good in the end. Right, so what else has happened? Tom wandering around the place. It's been a flower sort of week. You can't quite see in shot, but 3 loads of flowers from different people, which was lovely for no reason whatsoever. And how lovely is that? And a cake, a homemade cake appeared for no reason other than. How lovely. So we've had a fabulous week, or I have anyway. Thank you very much, ladies. So what else? Oh, Mystery Quilt went live, didn't it? Those of you that are taking part, you know there's some fabulous colour combinations coming up. They're looking really good. If you're interested in the pattern, that's now available over on my website, Abbieanne.com. And with that, you get masses of A3 full-sized patterns and the complete, I think it's 14 page colour page, how to put it together with all the photos and all the rest of it. That's on a special for a minute as like an introductory, so if you're quick you'll get that quite cheap. But that's not going to stay at that price for long, I'm afraid. That's going to have to go back up to its usual price shortly. Okay, so there we are, Mystery Quilt, and that was called Through the Window, and it's got daisies all over it. So yesterday I was busy looking at what we're going to do for our next mystery, and I've got a name for it. Whether or not it will get made into the mystery, I'm not sure at this point, but it's called Hair It Is, as in hair, as in bunny rabbit hair, as opposed to hair. All right. It might work, it might not. I've got a sort of plan going on, but until I've done the samples, I don't know is it going to work. But that might be quite interesting. Other than that, I think that's probably it for a minute, and I've bored you stiff, and the sun's coming out, so it's going to be a good day. I hope it's lovely where you are. All right. Just, yeah, go out there, enjoy yourselves, be happy people, lots of stitching, be lovely.